Welcome to the realm of shadows and whispers, where nightmares come to life. I am your guide through this chilling abyss, and I invite you to step into the darkness with me. But beware, for what you're about to hear is not for the faint of heart. It is not imaginary stories, they are true ones. Now, close your eyes and let the story consume you. In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Amityville, New York, there stood a house that would become infamous in the annals of paranormal history. This colonial-style residence, with its distinctive quarter-round windows on the upper floors, nestled by the Amityville River, had a dark and ominous past that few were aware of when the Lutz family moved in. It all began in the winter of 1975 when George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 young children, moved into 112 Ocean Avenue. It was supposed to be their dream home, a beautiful waterfront property at an affordable price, thanks to a recent tragedy that had taken place there. Just a year before the Lutz family arrived, on November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. had committed a gruesome act. He murdered his parents and 4 younger siblings while they slept, claiming he had been possessed by malevolent forces that compelled him to carry out the horrific act. DeFeo was arrested and eventually convicted of the murders. Unbeknownst to the Lutz family, this horrifying event was only the beginning of the house's dark history. Shortly after moving in, they began to experience strange and terrifying phenomena. The first signs were subtle, odd occurrences like unexplainable cold spots, strange odors, and unexplained noises in the middle of the night. As time passed, the disturbances escalated. George Lutz, a typically level-headed man, started to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the same time when the DeFeo murders had occurred. He also noticed strange, shadowy figures lurking in the house and claimed to have been physically assaulted by an unseen force. Kathy Lutz, too, was tormented by her experiences. She reported feeling a constant sense of dread and unease, as though an evil presence permeated every corner of their home. The children, who should have been living carefree lives, began to exhibit alarming changes in behavior. Their personalities shifted dramatically, and they spoke of invisible friends who whispered malevolent secrets in their ears. One of the most horrifying incidents involved a room filled with swarms of flies in the middle of winter. No logical explanation could be found for this bizarre phenomenon. The walls of the house oozed a strange, viscous substance that defied all attempts to clean it. Desperate for help, the Lutz family turned to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were well known for their work in the field of supernatural occurrences. Even the Warrens were shocked by the malevolent presence they encountered within the house. They conducted seances, but the entity that inhabited the home resisted their efforts, hurling furniture and causing extreme temperature drops. The Lutz family's ordeal reached its peak when they decided to flee the house, leaving behind most of their belongings. They believed that the entity within the house was growing increasingly hostile and that their lives were in grave danger. Their story soon made headlines, and it captured the imagination of the public. Jay Anson's best-selling book The Amityville Horror and the subsequent movie adaptations brought the terrifying tale to a global audience, forever cementing the house at 112 Ocean Avenue as one of the most haunted and infamous locations in the world. To this day, the true nature of the supernatural forces that tormented the Lutz family remains a mystery. Skeptics argue that it was a hoax designed to profit from the tragedy that occurred there, while believers maintain that the Amityville Horror is a chilling example of the dark and malevolent forces that can inhabit our world, lurking in the shadows and waiting for the next unsuspecting family to cross their path. The house itself has changed hands multiple times since the Lutz family's departure, but the legend of its haunting endures, casting a long and eerie shadow over Amityville, New York. In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Enfield, London, during the late 1970s, the Hodgson family lived a seemingly ordinary life. Peggy Hodgson, a hard-working single mother, shared the modest home on Green Street with her 4 children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy. It all began innocuously enough. In August 1977, Peggy and her children started experiencing strange occurrences in their home. At first, it was just unexplained knocking sounds and the feeling of a presence in their midst. Peggy dismissed these disturbances as mere figments of their imagination or the creaks and groans of an old house. However, as days turned into weeks, the inexplicable phenomena intensified. Furniture began to move on its own, seemingly propelled by an unseen force. The children's toys levitated and hurled themselves across the room. Janet, the 11-year-old daughter, seemed to be at the epicenter of the disturbances, as strange and chilling voices would emanate from her, as if she were possessed. Terrified and desperate for answers, Peggy reached out to the local authorities. The police officers who initially responded to the call were skeptical, but soon found themselves witnessing the inexplicable. Furniture levitated in their presence, objects were thrown across the room, and eerie voices filled the air. Word quickly spread, and paranormal investigators, including Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, descended upon the Hodgson home. The investigators were astounded by what they encountered. They documented a litany of chilling events: chairs sliding across the floor, heavy appliances tilting at impossible angles, and, most disturbingly, messages mysteriously appearing on the walls, as if written by an unseen hand. One message, in particular, sent shivers down their spines: "I will kill." It was clear that whatever was haunting the Hodgson family was malevolent and had sinister intentions. As the weeks turned into months, the Enfield Poltergeist showed no signs of relenting. It seemed to feed on the fear of the family, terrorizing them day and night. Janet, in particular, bore the brunt of the haunting, often being thrown about her room or even levitating in midair. The once vibrant girl was now a mere shadow of her former self, her physical and mental health deteriorating rapidly. The investigators continued their diligent work, even enlisting the help of renowned paranormal experts from around the world. Despite their best efforts, they could not conclusively explain the source of the malevolent force tormenting the Hodgsons. Theories ranged from a poltergeist to a malevolent spirit, and even possession. Finally, after more than a year of unrelenting terror, the disturbances began to wane. The Enfield Poltergeist seemed to lose interest and slowly retreated, leaving behind a traumatized family and a litany of unanswered questions. To this day, the events that unfolded on Green Street in Enfield remain a chilling mystery. Skeptics and believers continue to debate the true nature of the Enfield Poltergeist. Was it a hoax, a manifestation of repressed emotions, or a genuine encounter with the paranormal? The Hodgson family's harrowing experience stands as a haunting testament to the inexplicable forces that may exist in the shadows of our world, forever etched in the annals of the supernatural.
I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a bed.